around all over the place trying to figure out what's wrong, and you're sitting there like, where's the sound?
From
Kevin. With
always
if anyone
Kevin.
doesn't know Kevin from Trocon, Kevin made the Trocon Twitter like the amazing meme that it is. I love. I am literally the SpongeBob like Kevin.
Kevin's
Yeah,
been awesome. Kevin also does the PR on the parent. So if you see a hilarious meme or something ridiculous, it's probably Kevin. So shout out to Kevin. Kevin, I would love to sign your baby, but Australian borders are closed at the moment, so we might have to wait a little while.
if he mailed
The express post though. Dexanth, our lovely conchair, has asked, "Why are you still crazy enough to work for this event?"
is that for you or for me?
Yes, I love them all. They're great to work with, and it's hella fun.
Yeah, you'd be crazy not to want to work for PFO because it's pretty big and pretty impressive. And if there's any way I can help, like, why would I not want to? Especially just being a part of it. It's, crazy. I guess maybe that falls into it. Being a part of PFO is crazy, and so you have to be crazy to be a part. It's a loop.
Well, the very first PFO was put together in like a week of organization, and it turned out amazing. For Ponyfest online conventions, and we have a fifth one coming up after the release of Gen 5. So, oh, and speaking of Ponyfest 5, which is coming up in October, the panel applications were released yesterday. So, if you have an
Ooh.
idea, want to submit a panel, you can absolutely do that. They're open till I think the end of July. No, they August. Go look it up. It not my department. Probably the first one is the equipment. Usually everything there needs the sound check to make sure that one instrument or audio or vocals are not louder than anything else. That's probably the main difference there, is just that there's a lot more time that goes into sound checking those instruments, making sure that they sound okay. Because one thing you don't want to do is get
Yeah,
yeah.
DJs will typically mix for themselves on like while they're playing. And so you don't really have to pre-adjust many levels for DJs. So the extent of sound checking a DJ is pretty much like plugging in a couple things, making sure the like, all right, the microphone works. Set. You have to make sure all of the instruments are going into the system and coming out and working on the soundboard.
Any easier though. They both have their difficulties. They both have their pluses, positives, and negatives and stuff. So, yeah, we've had electricity go out at a convention once, and the amazing. It wasn't the Wonderbolts. It was Shake Ups. Managed to just pull out
No.
their acoustic instruments and just start playing playing for like, half an hour whilst the electricity was out. So that was absolutely epic.
I guess it's just like whipped out a ukulele and started playing fan favorites, and it like worked.
Yeah. So there's positives and negatives to both. With a DJ set, they usually set their own volume and levels and stuff, and then just send it to the audio crew. So it makes sound checking a little bit. That was it. Okay, next. Zan has, with real life cons coming back, how do you think it will affect online events like Ponyfest? So I'm gonna take this one. I see hybrid cons as starting to become the future. So I know that things like Everfree Northwest, they're looking at doing some sort of streaming thing as well as being an IRL con. I'm sure others will be following suit with that kind of modus operandi setup thing where they can actually get it out to a larger audience apart from those who are just actually there at the con. With online cons like Ponyfest, it has a wider appeal to those who can't make it anywhere. So when you got an internet connection, something to stream, you can submit a musician application. And I think that's gonna be like that's the main difference between the online cons and real cons. Now, the question here was what's going to happen with Ponyfest. We're still going to do events. There is, Ponytown. We get thousands of people now in a Ponytown event. So even though IRL stuff is opening back, the online
really just taught us how to be more global with the IRL conventions. But even before PFO started, like years past, if anyone remembers Horses at HomeCon, that yeah, people just want to hang out and do horse things. So yeah, I mean PFO's sticking around, so you've got both worlds that you can be a part of.
definitely a shout out to the IT crew, in particular Catherine, because without amazing IT crew and AV crew and just everyone who does behind the scenes work. Ox, who is someone that hasn't yet applied to perform at a con that you really wish would do so? I can. Yeah, you go.
I want Toby Macaroni so bad. Their own genre because they do such crazy and amazing sounds and songs, and I want so badly a live performance from
The entire ensemble, and you can go look up some of the videos, and they're just absolutely fantastic. And orchestral feel, that would be like my dream come true.
that would be so cool.
It really would be. CY or Sai has asked, who is your favorite character that isn't the isn't the main six? I'd have to go. I'd have to go with MC Arch is why is magic tragic luck rock?
Okay. With because anytime there's a line setting up a rhyme and it's like, oh, I used to think that friendship was magic. It's like, oh, I wonder what the next line's gonna be. I really wonder what could the next lyrics be. Blow my mind, artist person. What's the next line gonna be?
That's great.
Put in a line of that somewhere in their set just so they can like wink at me, knowing that somewhere in the world I'm just like,
Fantastic. You wouldn't believe how many times the name Lycan gets put into a sentence somewhere. Lycan these beats, like I'm sure if people can fill in the blanks. Sonic the Fuffhog wants to ask again. Question for Luckrock: do you
but I do have this hat.
keep
Which,
talking? I will be right back with something.
shout out TCB. And TCB got me this amazing spike hat, specifically for one of my songs, and so this is the first like real chance I've had to bring it out. Line, which were like the really good boys that Hasbro figured out by like 2018. There is one of them came with a spike, like a little spike, and if you bought I have the blush.
So, BronyCon 2017. They had my spare, and I got her. Spike thing that you
Pony's Antinymph. And it's not just because it was popular. I didn't know it was a meme until I heard it, and I was like, "This is a really good song."
Okay, so I have had a song stuck in my head, and it is still there ever since I first heard it during the Ponies at Dawn. So months later, it's still there.
Waved it like it.
All right. Next up, we have Chili Pride. Your
From the movie.
it because it's such a good remix. It's Sharax in Our Town. You can go look it up. They've taken the in our Stefan. So birthday coming up soon.
Hey.
Do you always like being a DJ? Asking
Uh,
both non-DJs.
I am not a DJ, although I have DJ'd the gala at Ponyville Cider Fest, but I don't consider that to be DJing. That is pulling.
Here coming up, we have the Ponies of Dawn album release. So that's more my role. I love showcasing things like that. I yes. So I'm much more a radio host personality that showcases other people's works rather than being a DJ myself. All right. So Mad Hatterbrony said,
Where do I begin?
uh, there's lots of things that happen. It's not so much going wrong; it's how you fix them. 99.9% certainly that something out of the blue, unexpected will happen. And if you just go, oh no, everything's ruined, nothing will be fixed. If it's, oh, right, well, let's try this. Let's do that. Um, that's how you fix things.
The worst is when storms in up to you and goes, "We need to shut this down right now." You're like, but
have to try and fill in time, make up stuff. So on the stage and go to the DJ that's currently playing, be like, can you do another song? Do an encore. They're not here yet. So yes, that has happened before.
I know you've had more with that than I have. Uh, I do remember one time there was a band that was coming up next. One person was like standing by and ready. We didn't know where the other person was, and so I ran all throughout the hotel. I did like 2 loops around the hotel looking for this person. They weren't answering their phone. The band didn't know where they were. 1 minute before they like had to go on, I saw them sitting in the front row at the concert,
Oh,
and they just
no.
didn't realize that they were next.
Oh, wow. Oh boy.
For you got to be ready to adapt to anything. It's impossible to know what's about to go wrong. But you got to be ready to deal with it.
Rad Riveter has asked, what's the last?
I would love to see a scenario like you mentioned with the orchestra.
Yeah.
But man, that would require some planning.
And just have it go and just, yeah, be awesome.
I know the most
So-
I've ever worked with was the Wonderbolts liked core people, like 3 people on horns, 4 backup singers, and then occasionally they'll just bring in someone to play like a fife. That's a nightmare sound check. But it's really That was cool.
different languages, it's clear that a huge